Are we going to one screen or just staying on two? Oh, okay. All right. Oh, okay. Oh yeah. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. I don't know what it would take to just do it like, whatever. All right. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Hello, and welcome into episode number 78 right here, live and direct on RaceON.com. A little bit of Eddie Vedder. It's a Pearl Jam pulling you in tonight to the podcast. A little even flow. This song never hurt anybody's feelings, did it? I can remember growing up, rolling down the road on I-20 or Highway 80. I'll tell you what, folks, my dad used to pull us to the racetrack in a Mazda B2000 pickup, single cab. Me and my brother would be loaded up in that unit. I'd sit in the middle because I was the smallest and I was the youngest brother of the two of us. And it was also a stick speed, so or a manual shift. So my dad would be shifting that baby, 4-cylinder, pulling a front wheel drive, not a front wheel drive, a rear wheel drive mini stock to the racetrack to Webster in the 2000s. But that's how I'm going to intro this podcast tonight here, Cortland Smith, off the top of my head, as we have the King of America. The 15th running of that event is into the history books with the United States Modified Touring Series this past weekend at the Diamond of Dirt tracks, the Lucas Oil Speedway, and a new king is crowned. Both National Dirt Late Model Tours and the Sprint Core Tours ran this past weekend. The Final Four is also set. Illinois will face off with UConn this Saturday night, April the 4th, along with Michigan and Arizona in the Big House. The RaceON All-Star Challenge slated for this weekend at Rocket Raceway Park has unfortunately been postponed due to weather. And one thing we do know, though, is racing is officially in full swing throughout the country, and we've got much to talk about tonight, my friends, so we better hurry. What's up with you, man? How are you doing tonight?
Shoot, we're just LIV-ing, cuz. Glad to be back for episode number 78. I feel like I say this every once in a while. I don't know how we made it this far, Zach, and I don't know how I ain't got kicked off yet, but I'm still glad I'm here every week. And if you hate me, well, by golly, just hold on one more week. I might get fired by next one. You heard me. So we're here, man. Like you said, racing action's kicked off. I think almost every national tour was racing. USMTS, Lucas Oil, World of Outlaws, High Limit. Like, I mean, we're just coming at it every which way that it can hit, right? It's that last weekend of March, first weekend in April, man. And this is when we fully are wide open in racing action. You can view on any browser you want to. You can do anything. You show up to any racetrack, and I promise you, there's something within a couple hours of you that's racing. So, man, I'm absolutely excited. We're still racing down here around the house. Had a lot of great racing action here around the Arklatex. Had a lot of great racing on the RaceON platform, man. And I can't complain a whole lot, man. Easter break's coming up, so I know all the teachers and everybody like that. Some of them may have already had it, but for down here in Louisiana, Easter break's coming up, so I'm excited about that. I don't know what else to tell you. Race season's full swing. I'm ready, man. Where are we going? King of America was absolutely lights out, dude. What was 176 cars rolled in to Lucas Oil Speedway out of 3 classes? I mean, like, that's something. I mean, I know it ain't Arklatex racing action, but you were there and I watched it, and that's just something that it was a spectacle. I think the King of America has found its home, and I may steal something you were going to say, but that King of America has found its home at Lucas Oil Speedway. I really think that event and everything about it just flows really, really good.
It was the premier, I believe, racing event going on in the country this weekend. Obviously, the car count and everything kind of alluded to that with 176 cars in 3 classes. Before we get into any of that and talk about some of our local Arklatex area racing here, I want to talk about the number 78, obviously. Tonight is podcast episode number 78, of course. And the first number that comes to mind for me when I think of 78 is Martin Truex Jr., right? And that dominant run he had back in 2017, went to the NASCAR Cup Series Championship for Furniture Row Racing. He won 8 races that season, Cortland. And that was honestly, like, thinking back on it, because if you recall, right, Michael Waltrip Racing shut its doors, right, when Martin Truex Jr. was driving that 56 car. And he got dispatched from that because they shut the doors. Well, then Furniture Row hired him. Well, Furniture Row hired like half of the team from that 56 car. So a lot of people followed Martin over to Furniture Row in the 78. And it's pretty cool just to see how dominant he was in that year, right? Like we always knew Martin Truex Jr. was a very respectable driver, right? Former Xfinity or Busch Series champion. But what he did in 2017, winning 8 races, winning the championship, it was just super impressive because he won the final race of the year, too. It's not like he just went in there, right? Like Larson won the championship last year, didn't win the final race. I know typically in this new format that's, been the case over the last 15 years or so, you got to typically win that final race. Well, I mean, if you play your cards right, you don't necessarily have to. But Martin Truex Jr. got it done that year. I want to give you a little history on the 78. But first, I want to ask you a question. So when the number 78 was brought into NASCAR, I want to ask you, who is a former dirt driver, and you could still say current, former dirt driver who made their debut for Furniture Row Racing and brought the number 78 car into NASCAR back in 2005? Any guesses?
2005 dirt driver. You got me. Like when you're building this up, I figured you're going, but like this may tell my age. In 2005, I was 6, so my memory may not be the greatest. But like the original 78 that I think of is kind of like a Regan. I was going to say Regan Smith, but he's not a dirt driver, so I know that don't count. Did he say dirt driver? Yeah. I don't know. I think of Jeff Purvis, but that was after probably he made his start and stuff like that, So I really, you bean boozled me, Zach. Go ahead, hit me with
Kenny
it.
Kenny Wallace was still making NASCAR starts back then. He made his debut in 2005 at Dover, Delaware, driving the Furniture Row Racing number 78. That was the first ever race for Furniture Row Racing. And just to give you a little history here, Furniture Row Racing has made 799 NASCAR starts. This is like the 4th straight weeks we're talking about NASCAR. I'd always say that we don't talk about NASCAR here, but here we are again. 799 starts, 22 wins for the number 78 in the Cup Series, 17 poles, 93 top 5s, 174 top 10s, and of course, the championship in 2017 with Martin Truex Jr. Here's some more drivers, Cortland Smith, who has driven the number 78 over the years. Jerry Roberson, Jimmy Spencer. How about that name for you today? Travis Kvapil, Max Pappas, Scott Wimmer, Sterling Marlin, Joe Nemechek, Regan Smith. Like you said, he won the Southern 500. Remember, he won the Southern 500 driving that Furniture Row car. I think that was in 2011. That was an incredible race. Kurt Busch took over the seat back in 2012. And Catherine Legg most recently has driven a 78 in the Cup Series along with B.J. McLeod. I don't know if you have any local 78s, but I got a couple. How about R.C. Hagan, limited modified driver? Yeah. Billy Jack Bruchin, A-Mod open wheel modified driver. And like I said, B.J. McLeod. But our pair of 78s here locally, R.C. Hagan, limited mod driver down at Sabine. And Leesville, whenever it was open, started off in the rookie limited class. And, of course, Billy Jack Bruchin drives the Jack's Welding Service number 78 CDR race car in the modified division. You have any tonight?
I do. And I also have this sweet Martin Truex Jr. 2017 trading card. Look at that Furniture Row Racing. I pulled that off the shelf over there. But, yeah, so that was I knew one of us was going to talk about Martin Truex Jr. at some point in time with number 78. But I got Steve Stoltz out of Peoria, Arizona, super late model guy. And I'm going to keep it with another super late model guy here, Chad Zobrist out of Highland, Illinois. He was one of the original Dome darlings in the early stages of the Gateway Dirt Nationals. Whenever me and my dad went up there, the first time we went up there, Chad Zobrist kind of like, that was his Dome moment, right? He ran really good up there at the Dome, locked himself in. And then I got R.C. Hagan down there as well. Me and him actually started racing at pretty much the exact same time, right? That rookie limited class. Me, him, Blaine Perkins, us three, essentially, we all started racing together, and they put together that little rookie limited deal for us all the way back in 2015, I believe it was. And now making me feel like I'm old and been around the block for a minute now. But, yeah, that's my 78s there. Steve Stoltz, Chad Zobrist, 2 super late model guys, and then R.C. Hagan. And obviously, when you think of number 78 in racing, you got to think of old MTJ right there in the Furniture Row car.
No doubt about it. He's been retired now, ended his career for Joe Gibbs Racing. But that's about a wrap on the NASCAR stuff. Tyler Reddick did not win this week. So guess what? There's no conspiracies to come on here and chastise race fans for getting in his back crawl. So anyway, we'll move on from that. I'm even just trying to remember off the top of my head. Chase Elliott. Yeah, NASCAR's most popular driver won the NASCAR race Sunday. If you came here to figure out who won that race, well, now you know. Dude, this weekend, I'll tell you what, man, every time I go to Lucas Oil, I went there twice last year, a total of 6 nights of announcing last year up there. And obviously they call it the Diamond of Dirt tracks. I could come on here and talk about how nice it is till I'm blue in the face. And everybody knows if you've been there, you know how nice it is. I just want to take this a different direction and kind of give Casey Schumann the new race director. He's been there now for 3 years. Casey Schumann's a former late model. He was the World of Outlaws late model series director for a few years, right? He's a USAC guy. He's a sprint car guy. Like, he's so well-rounded. But, man, Casey Schumann is doing such a great job at that place. Like, not only is it top-tier facilities, but it races extremely well as well. I mean, the hospitality all weekend, man, it's just awesome, right? Like, I cannot wait to return there in August for the Slick Miss Show Me Shootout with USMTS. I think that's August 7th and 8th. I'll also be in Nevada, Missouri on August the 6th with USMTS. So I'm looking forward to that little 3-day swing there. But, along with it, dude, you can recall too, right, over the years when Todd Staley would bring USMTS to Arklatex, Boot Hill, or any tracks, right, Heart of Texas, any of the tracks here in the South to Rocket. He's always run a very quick and expedient show, right? We were done by 11 each night. We started at 5 o'clock because we had a cold front come in on Thursday. But man, it got really cold. Like, it was, we were down in the 30s and the wind was blowing. Here's the thing is the wind was blowing like 25 and 30 miles per hour nonstop for 3 consecutive days. So for me, seeing is that how well the track raced, I was kind of surprised by it just because how much the wind was blowing. I don't know how much that can throw a wrench into track prep. But all things considered, the place raced extremely well. We got a little narrow, I think, on Friday night throughout the USMTS heat races. But again, all things considered, it was pretty good. I'm going to want to ask you, because I know you were watching live this weekend, what was your opinion of that draft board for the USMTS after they qualify? They get to pick their starting position. Kind of what was your deal on that? I know we saw Chris Hennigan pick 11. That's very bad because guess what? You can typically in a USRE passing point system, you don't lose points for cars that pass you. But in this one, you lose 2 points per every car that passes you, but you got 4.84 for every car that you pass. So it was really interesting to see the game that a lot of these guys were going to play. Chris Hennigan would have started on the pole if he would have picked it there, but he said, I'm going tail back, and he went from 11th to 6th in the heat race past 5 cars, so he ended up starting top 5 in the feature event. So it was interesting to see how it all kind of played out, but I think a lot of people that were watching online and for us that were up there calling the race, we really didn't have the hell of a clue what was going on until like they kind of rolled out to kind of see where they were starting. I knew that Janet and Todd, they were all getting these numbers figured up, and they figured them up well, and they were all on point, but it was an interesting deal. Kind of, what was your take on the draft board?
It's something different. It's something that we haven't really seen a whole lot, and I'm a fan of it, right? Like, I think that Keith Kuntz, the BC39 that they do in the infield of Indianapolis, they do the draft board deal for the heat races, and so it's something that has been done before, and it's a different style, obviously, of how they do it, but I thought it was cool. Like, I love how Chris Hennigan comes out there. You mentioned him, and just off the top of my head, like y'all mentioned, he on the broadcast, like, he picked all the way in the tail. And I love that. Like, if I was him, I would have done the exact same thing, because it's one of those deals. If you get past, you're losing points. So I'd rather go ahead and just start at the back. Everybody ahead of me, go ahead, right? Like, I mean, obviously, if you qualified first and you got to pick your spot, your stuff's obviously gonna be pretty good, right? Like, there ain't no sense in risking it. And then also, it's one of them deals, like, you do kind of throw a little risk, risk versus reward. Like, you start in the back, can you get tangled up into something early on? How good is your racecraft to get through those guys? So it is something. It adds another mental aspect to it. And it's also one of them deals, not in a bad way, but if you are the top 2 or 3 qualifiers and you choose tailback, does that make everybody else in that heat race feel like they're a bunch of chumps? You know what I'm saying? Because, like, them guys know they're going to go, they think they're going to drive right around you. So, like, are those guys a little offended about it? I don't know. I mean, I kind of would be if I was 3rd overall and the 1 and 2 said, all right, we'll just take 11th and 10th. And I'm like sitting there going run 3rd and be like, well, obviously these guys think they can drive right around me, and they probably would, honestly, but it's just one of them deals. I liked it. It was different. Like you said, you kind of didn't really have a good idea of who was going to roll out where, but it was interesting. It's something different. And if you got all the people in place to keep it all coordinated, it's definitely something worth trying. And for an event like the King of America, why not throw a little something a little different, right? Throw a little flavor in there and see how it goes. And I have no complaints about it, really. When you have a racetrack that raced as good or as consistent as Lucas Oil did, then you can do stuff like that. Like, let's just be real. There's some racetracks you go to, you probably don't need to try this method out, because everybody's going to choose 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, right? So it's one of them deals that you got to kind of know the places you're going to do it at, right? And that's no shot at any other racetracks. It's just the truth of the matter. We know that there's racetracks you go to, you don't want to start 11th in a heat race. Let's just be honest. Right. So it all worked out. It was different. And I think it's something that I wouldn't mind seeing more of.
What was interesting to me, some people were upset with the format throughout the weekend, right? I saw Facebook comments and this and that, and often their opinion. I get it, because I think the majority of them were just kind of confused, or maybe they didn't understand it. Because to be honest with you, from the announcer's perspective, I feel like Jeff and Pat and I did our best to try to explain it. But again, until we kind of get more well-versed with it and kind of understand how this thing works, then we'll have a better job of explaining it up there from our vantage point. But again, people were upset that the heat race winners weren't locked in. Well, in this format, like, your heat race winner didn't necessarily earn that, right? Because Zach Vanderbeek started on the pole, won his heat race, and he didn't even qualify Saturday. The fact that he didn't qualify put him on a pole because everybody else that did qualify didn't want to start there because they wanted to have a chance to earn points.
Yeah.
So I can't remember the last time Zach Vanderbeek's won a heat race and then had run like 7th inside of a B main later on that night. But hey, that's just kind of how it was and how the cookie crumbled. A side note on Lucas Oil, real quick, I want to mention this. It's always good to see local racing family when you're out, working on the road, working at different racetracks, like 8 hours from the house. Tara and Tracy Cunda from Kilgore, Texas, were there along with Alan Lindo and Christy Lindo. They put on the Team Solo 275. I just called that race for them at Arklatex. Alan just met his biological father. This is a cool story. This is why I want to share it. Alan just met his biological father for the very first time in his life. And how cool is this? Ironic, his last name is Clark. His biological father's last name is Clark, which is cool. So I figured I'd mention on Clark After Dark. But he went up to Branson to meet his dad for the very first time in his life this week. And I said, man, how was it? He's like, dude, it was really cool. Like, could you imagine, Cortland? Like, Alan Lindo's 40-something years old. You go your whole life and not knowing your real father. And then the fact that your real dad reaches out to you and you go up there and travel. So getting that out of the way, I think that's really cool that they were up there visiting. But then they saw my Facebook post and saw that I was at Lucas Oil. So they said, hell, that's only an hour and a half down the road. So they went and hopped in the car. And next thing I know, they're sitting up there in Suite 3A at the top. They went ahead and got them a suite and everything. Had about 10 to 12 people up there hanging out. And, man, they had a great time Saturday. So it's always good to see people, from home, on the road, at different racetracks. It was their very first time there. So I just want to thank them for coming. It's always good to see people, like I said, at different racetracks that from home. So getting a little bit more about King of America here. 176 car in 3 classes. I was on the mic this weekend with Jeff Brogue, a man out of Iowa, former motorsports writer. This guy is super knowledgeable, man. We had never worked together, but I had a ton of fun working with him and kind of getting to know him this weekend. And of course, Pat Graham, he's a very well-versed driver. He's very successful in stock cars, and have his intellect and kind of his knowledge and expertise up there this weekend was really fun as well. The only repeat winners on the weekend, and can we just call him the king of the B-mods because that's what he was this weekend, and your Ironman stock cars, Jeffrey Abbey, the only repeat winner of the stock cars. And funny thing is both of those wins, he didn't cross underneath the checkered flag. Actually, on the racetrack, he got those wins by virtue
Never
of the
let him.
Hey, you get them how you can get them, okay?
Yeah.
And he was right. Like, the thing is Abby was right there in the mix both nights. He actually had the lead coming around to grab the white flag on the finale on Saturday night. Shane Bailey was disqualified from your Ironman stock car feature, and also Cody King doubled up, right? We've seen Cody race a lot down here. He's raced Vivian, and he had a really good run at the West Grigsby Memorial in his 510 car. The old nickel dime was rolling both Friday and Saturday night. He swapped over to a Tony Jackson J2 race car this offseason. And, man, anytime you can run down and pass John Sheets at Lucas Oil Speedway, you got something cooking. I'll tell you what, man, Cody King, like I said, he had bankrolls in the pockets of his jeans, and he's King of America 15. Cody King was rolling this weekend.
Yeah, Cody King, obviously, we've come to know him pretty well around here, right? Like, he kind of one of those outsiders from Oklahoma roll in down here, and always been fast. Won the Mike Parker Memorial, the stock car portion of that event, and dude's always fast, and he proved it, right? I mean, you teed it up perfectly. When you outrun John Sheets and you race with him the way Cody did, and both cars were really, really good, the way they were deucing up through lap traffic, I mean, it was absolute mayhem. And that's what the event is there for, right? Like, you got this King of America. Yeah, we're there for the modifieds, but you throw these B mods out there and they're throwing absolute slobber knockers at each other, dude. Like, yeah, like, I mean, I really didn't get, like, who cared about the modified feature after watching that, right? Like, I mean, not in a bad way. Like, I still cared about it, right. But like, they were absolutely getting it on, man. And it was really, really cool to see. Cody King and I, we hung out till like 4:30 in the morning at the Mike Parker Memorial before. So me and him shared some good times there. And I met him at Muskogee one time when I was with Bags another weekend. And really good people, man. Really excited. Heck of a driver. Like, we can just flat out can wheel it, right? He's won 10 grand in a stock car at the Mike Parker Memorial, and the dude just went up there and absolutely, like you said, the king of the B mods, Cody King, is here to stay, and obviously found a really good fitting and feel in that J2 race car.
I will give a special shout out to his sponsor, Direct Traffic Control Incorporated. It's quality highway safety. So I went over to his pit and was hanging out with him after the races on Friday night after his win. And Ryan Murphy, right? You've heard me announce the 32 car, the Team Lobo Motorsports, Ryan Murphy. I always say the Golden Corral sponsored entry, right? I always say he's about to take them to the buffet, right? He's going to clean them out of the buffet. But I just thought it was cool that Golden Corral's on the race car. But I walked up, he said, "Hey," he said, "Are you Zach Clark?" And I said, "Yeah, I was talking to Cody." And Cody said, "Oh shit." And I was like, "What did I do wrong?" And he said, he said, he said, "Man, you love that Golden Corral, don't you?" I said, "It looks good on your race car. Like Golden Corral on a dirt car, come on." And he said,
Yeah.
"Yeah, but my dad's about to throw a fit." And I said, "Why is that?" He said, "Because he wants to hear direct traffic control incorporated." I said, "Well, I hear you." I said, "I will mention it like 15 times a night for you." So I mentioned it a few times. And he doesn't know it, but I'm gonna mention it on this podcast. And when I send the pod to Cody, they'll get their own little special shout out here for him winning the King of America. So shout out to traffic control for being on board the 32 of Ryan Murphy and the 510 of Cody King. That's what Cody said. He said, "Hey, it's on my cell panels too, cuz, so you'll give them double the shout out." So double the wins, double the shout outs. What a race it was, man. You can beat John Sheets there. Chris Jackson won his prelim again on the opening night. I don't know what happened. I don't know a lot of the details right now. I'd have a chance to really talk to Darlow about it. But he elected to not start the race on Saturday night. They did allow him. They said that you can start the race. He would have fired from the front row. They said he had to start in the back. Well, he elected to not start the race at all. So if you're looking for Chris Jackson, we don't know where he was. We just know he wasn't at the Lucas Oil Speedway where he was on Thursday and Friday night, where he found Victor Lane. And yeah, things did not quite go his way in the tech shed. And it didn't for Shane Bailey either. Like I said, Jeffrey Abbey inherited the win there. But what a stock car race, man. The Ironman stock cars, they are bloody awesome to watch, man. They truly are. Like, what they, we talk about the B mods too, but them stock cars get it on, son.
Yeah, and that race Saturday coming, I mean, that was a barn burner as well, right? Like it was really, really good. And I just want to give a shout out to Jeffrey Abbey. The man won 2 races, never let a lap. Like, I mean, that's some skill. That's a driver right there. You win 2 races and
he was on the two barrel too.
That's talent. You know what I'm saying? Like that's certified talent right there. But he earned every bit of it, right? Like he was in the mix every single night. And how many times do we see stock car races, especially down in our area, that the 37 of Jeffrey Abbey isn't in the mix? And then when he travels off and go other places, he's always in the mix, right? Like he's really, really found a liking to them stock cars, man. And he's really, really talented and really good at it. And, to be able to double up on a stage like that just kind of proves to continue that like Jeffrey Abbey's still here. He's still the Jeffrey Abbey we all know. And his name, if it's not already nationally known, it just keeps on getting known more and more, right? So, but yeah, dude, stock cars at Lucas Oil Speedway almost fit better than B mods, right? Like it's one of them deals. There was not a single race, and we'll talk about the modifieds here in a second. They were just as entertaining, but all weekend long, you were treated to phenomenal racing. And you kind of do you tend it to the track? Do you tend it to the cars? Do you tend it to the drivers? Or do you just say it was the right mixture? Like we're trying to bake this cake and we got the right flour, eggs, and everything, and the sugar and everything just mixed right. And man, it just from top to bottom, dude, stock cars did stock car things, right? And they just were flat out good as well. And Jeffrey Abbey, like you said, sweep the weekend. What was it? Johnny Finewald won Thursday. Am I getting that right? Yeah, Johnny Finewald won Thursday, I believe. So, and
he
he's
also
one
got
that always like
Friday.
Oh, he got DQ'd Friday. Well, he got him on Thursday.
Them both. He won the one Thursday. He got away with that one, and then they checked. They were checking different things all weekend. And he also caught a DQ on Friday, but he was able to fall back on his points because you get the best of your 2-night points. So he fell back on that. So he ended up second at the drop of the checkers, but he had the lead almost all weekend long, didn't he? That 21 car was really, really fast, and the only thing that was in between him and Victor Lane was Jeffrey Abbey. So that was
no lie.
That was pretty cool. How about the USMTS, man? We got 2 first-time winners on the prelims this weekend, right? The Hodges brothers racing teammates. I think a lot of people coming into this weekend were like, okay, we know it. Reese Solander is just about any time, right? Anytime soon, Reese Solander is going to strike. He's going to go to a USMTS Victor Lane at some point somewhere, right? He'd won a big arms race at the end of last year, so he's shown that he can race with these guys. He finished top 5 in the King of America last year at Lucas Oil. But his teammate, this is the surprise. His teammate, Gabe Hodges, right? So Gabe Hodges has won a ton of B-Mod races over the last, let's say, 5 to 6 years, right? And he'd worked his way up through the ranks. Well, then when him and Reese both get A-Mods, kind of Reese took off. Well, Gabe was kind of struggling a little bit, and Reese just continued to, push the progression and get better. Well, we didn't see a whole lot of Gabe towards the tail end of last year, while Reese is continuing to make all these laps and, answering the call and answering expectations that people have placed on him. Well, then Gabe Hodges storms out of the gate first race of 2026 and says, I'm headed to Lucas Oil Speedway Victor Lane. And that's exactly what he did at that Murphy Ag 7G Skyrocket Balance Speed car. Dude, I was so impressed with the Hodges brothers teammates. Gabe Hodges won the prelim on Friday. Reese Solander dialed it in on Friday night and goes to Victor Lane as well in his Skyrocket race car. They split those pair. And I know we're short on time tonight. So just jumping into the feature, Tanner Mullins wins his first career King of America Modified Nationals. He's $15,000 richer. Want to get more in depth on that race. What a race, man. Like, they started them 3 wide. Tyler Stevens out of Searcy, Arkansas, right? Former super late model winner at Lucas Oil with MLRA. He's won races there before. Him and Tyler Davis and Mullins are all right there. And man, I got to tell you, I think Brandon Davis, a lot considered him to be the favorite for this event, took the green flag on the opening lap. He goes to the tail because he gets a flat tire. He rallied all the way back to finish in the 5th position. Rodney Sanders rallied to 4th. Hodges was 3rd. Reese Solander was 2nd. But I kind of want to talk a little bit more about the race, man. Tanner Mullins was so good. The 02 Mullins race car would just hook up right through the slick while Stevens and everybody's up there burying their car up there to the top ropes of the track. The 65 of Davis, him and Stevens were just kind of following each other's tire tracks. Well, Stevens led the first 40 laps of the race. And then Mullins just, I don't know if his experience or how he can just keep his car straighter and underneath it. Maybe you have more intel on that. I know I'm the one actually at the track, but man, that 02 car was just so hooked up. And that's why he went to Victor Lane and not somebody else, because that thing was just glued right through the slick.
Yeah, it's the great old saying, whenever you can drive right through the middle, that's when you know your stuff's right. Like, that's when you know your car's good. Like, you don't have to rely on no brown for speed. Like, that's when you know your stuff's good. And man, and Tanner Mullins has kind of, I'm not saying been that guy, but he's been one that's like, he has worked his way up, right? Mullins chassis, Mullins engine. I mean, it's kind of, he has worked on this package, and he's one that's kind of his, I'm going to say not necessarily, like, that's kind of his forte, right? Like, when you see Tanner Mullins, and whenever that 02 car really shows speed, it's kind of that smooth and slick and keeping up speed and being able to just really drive the car, right? And Tyler, like, give a shout out to Tyler Stevens, man. That phase 2 car don't have a whole lot of races. That whole deal's kind of starting off for him, and to go out and lead laps, obviously he's been an accomplished late model driver. He's won late model races, won comp cams races, MLRA stuff. Like, obviously we know he's got talent as well, but to show up on that stage and have the showing he had, no, don't sleep on him. That phase 2 and TS2 seems like he got something cooking right now. But Tanner Mullins, I mean, and that he's just good, man. Like I said, it's hard to describe, like, just how good your car has to be when you got guys up there just blasting the top, and they're getting everything they can. And I'm not saying Tanner Mullins was putting around, but he's just kind of driving around there, just steering it in there, and just kind of easing up on it, just slow, just knocking them down, lap after lap, and just staying as consistent as can be. And I don't know, when we went there with a late model, you could eat up a tire pretty quick. And it's not like the track's abrasive. You just go in there and you wheel spin a good bit. And that's just because the way the track's set up. Like, the straightaways are, the cameras don't always do the track justice, right? Like, the straightaways are actually kind of long there. And when you got to get in the corner, you sometimes really got to get it bent in there. Well, that's just a lot of load and a lot of pressure on that right rear tire. And then you're on the gas and you're on the cushion, and you got to be wheel spin so you don't get tight on the cushion. So did the tires fade? I know Stevens made contact. I think he said, something bent in the rear, maybe a J-bar, I believe is what they said. So did something maybe happen there? He got to the wall a little bit. So maybe that kind of phased him a little bit. But at the end of the day, you talked about it before, and I don't want to sleep on Tanner Mullins winning this King of America, but Gabe Hodges and Reese Solander to both win and finish 2nd and 3rd. Dude, like, what a weekend for the Hodges racing team. Like, Tanner Mullins, you were good. You were flat out, you were the King of America. Congratulations, sir. Like, you deserved it. You earned it. I am pumped up for you. But I mean, if you're going to ask me, you normally ask me at the end of the show who stole the weekend. Gabe Hodges and Reese Solander is really what you take away from this, right? Like, I don't want to take nothing away from Tanner Mullins. He went out there, he won his 15,000. He won the King of America. He won one of the bigger crown jewels in modified racing. So congratulations to you, man. But dude, this Gabe Hodges Reese Solander weekend is one that they'll remember forever, right? Like, it was the coming out party for both of them. They both get their first USMTS wins, and they go top 3 in the King of America together. Like, that pit area had to be at, it's one of those are the weekends that you just want to be in the pit area hanging out with the homies. Like, you wish that was one of your homies right there. You know what I'm saying?
They were not loaded up. I'd tell you that. They were not loaded up.
I wouldn't have been neither.
Both of the 5 and the 7G car out there on the concrete. They were hanging out, having a good time all throughout the weekend, right? They both won prelims and they finished top 5 in the KOA. Like, it doesn't, what I love so much about this, right? We love local racing, right? With what we do with RaceON and, here at Architect, all of our local tracks, like, we love local racing, but to see where these guys just were, right? Like, this is where Talon wants to be, right? But Talon was there, right? I'm not done with this complete segment on the King of America. I do want to give a special shout out, right, to Talon Willis, to Dustin Hennigan, two of our very young and accomplished drivers for making the show on Saturday night, man. That wasn't easy, man. There was a lot of really good
No.
drivers that were in that non-qualifier feature, Cortland, on Saturday
Yeah.
night. And Dustin Hennigan, Chris Hennigan, and Talon Willis weren't one of those drivers. They made the show. They showed a lot of strength and speed throughout the weekend. Talon finished 6th on Thursday, up 13 positions. Like, he rallied and got up on his horse. That was his first career USNTS start. Boy rolled 13 spots to finish 6th. And then on Thursday night, he rolls up to finish 4th. I talked
Yeah.
to him after the races Saturday. He said he learned a ton. Like, and that's the main thing here, right? Like, nobody was expecting Talon to go out here and win the King of America this weekend. If he'd have done it, would he have been shocked? Yes. Would he have been surprised? Yes. But no, right? Like, yeah, but no. I mean, right? Like, I think in the future, whatever this young man's future is, like, and I think Dustin too, right? Like, I'm not going to
Dustin,
discredit either
yes.
one of them. Dustin said it was a dream come true to get the race at Lucas Oil Speedway with those guys. You know what was funny is the first thing I went to Dustin's and Miss Marcy made us some pork chops. She fed me all weekend, so thank you, Marcy Hennigan. Fed me an awesome hamburger after the races on Thursday or Wednesday night after practice, and then Thursday hooked me up with some great pork chops. So love you, Miss Marcy, and thank you for taking care of us boys this weekend that were hungry. But I asked Dustin, he said, man, this place right here, he said, it don't look nothing and it don't race nothing like the Lucas Oil Speedway on iRacing. But dude,
I
what a
wouldn't have
performance for
figured.
the Hennigans, huh?
Yeah, dude, I'm so excited for them, right? And Talon had been up there in a B mod before, so he kind of had laps, he kind of had an idea, and like you said, would I have been shocked? No. Would I have been surprised? Maybe a little, but like we know that the 10M's got good equipment. We know Talon Willis can drive. He had a little bit of experience there before last year, so like really good runs for him. And but like you said, Dustin and Chris, man, Dustin had never been there before, and to go out there and make that race, for like showing up and making the King of America. You know what I mean? Modified guys show up to the King of America their first try and are on the trailer when that A main drops the green. Like, I mean, that's just something. I mean, no matter what, I know he didn't get in the top 5 runs or the big rallies like Talon did, but at the end of the day, Dustin went up there, what was it, 66, 67, 67, there you go, about that many mods there, and you were one of the elites to take that green flag on Saturday. And so shout out to both of them, right? Talon had some really good showings there, and Dustin as well, and Chris going up there as well. Like that whole deal. It's really cool to watch our guys that I know we call them local guys, right? I mean, even though East Texas is a ways from me, but we all race at the same places. So they are all of our buddies. And it's just really, really cool to see them go up there and do that, right? Talon had some really good runs, and Dustin to make the A main as well, man. Just the young talent we have. And another guy I want to mention before we run off, jump the segments or jump to a different subject, Mason Martin in the stock cars. I think finished top 5 every single night. Mason Martin, another guy that I'm when I say local, down here in our area, we race with him. He comes over here. Yeah, he comes over here 2 or 3 times a year into the old dirty boot over here in races. And Mason Martin, I think, what was it, 4th on? I got it wrote down here. Yeah, 4th on Thursday. Where's my stock cars at? 5th on Friday, and then come around and 4th on Saturday again. So Mason Martin did a really, really good job. What's that? Oh, you got a message from him?
He messaged me. Well, a driver's confident whenever he messaged me after the race. He said all he said was gave it a good shot this weekend. And I haven't had a chance to write him back. I'll message him back here in a minute. But you're right, man. Thank you for mentioning him, because I'd have glossed over that. I'd have felt bad after it was over, because man, he's so deserving to be talked about, right? And that young kid's impressive, man. Like, listen, you're in the top 5 at Lucas Oil Speedway with the best stock cars in the Ironman stock car series in the country. Like, that's a feather in the cap, bud. We know what he can do. He won the Outlaw 34 down at the race ranch at the end of 2024. Rolled into 2025, had them really good runs. He's going to be back there, teammates with Jeffrey Abbey this year. We would have seen him at Rocket this weekend, racing in the RaceON All-Star Challenge, but unfortunately we'll see the dates. They're going to release that, I think, tomorrow, around 1:00. So we'll see what they've decided on that. So looking forward to seeing whenever that gets, I think it's April 18th. I just don't know all the details on it yet, and the purse and so on and so forth. But that kind of sucks, right? Mother Nature throwing us a wrench already into their All-Star Challenge, but I guess it is what it is, right? We're going to get that throughout a long racing season.
Yeah, it's that time of year also where like we're all excited to go racing and everybody's trying to get races in, but it's spring, and spring showers bring May flowers, right? It's the wise old saying. So it's part of it. It really is. You never when people schedule these races early in the season, they don't necessarily want to, but we race so much and there's so many big shows. Like the only thing available is the beginning of the year, but we know we're going to have to fight Mother Nature. So that's just kind of all part of it, right? You never get too amped up about it until about 3 days out, and then you're like, oh no, it's going to rain. So it's just part of it. It's that time of year where we got to kind of get past this point, which Mother Nature has been halfway decent to us so far this year. So you can't really complain a whole lot.
And listen, I want to make this point, and this isn't to call anybody out or anything like that. Listen, not everybody's going to love the rescheduled date. Not everybody's going to love, the details about it. And I'm not prefacing that to say that people are going to be disappointed. I just saw some comments yesterday where people are upset because they had prior obligations. Well, I promise you that most people have their schedule set in stone, and when a rain out happens, listen, we could just cancel the race entirely, right, Cortland? RaceON could just say, you know what, we're just not going to run it at Rocket, which would be silly, right? Because it's the RaceON All-Star Challenge. Rocket RaceON owns Rocket, so why wouldn't they? But honestly, like, it almost would be better if they just said, you know what, we're just going to scrap it so we don't have to deal with the headache, because we're not ever going to find a date when you have a schedule that's already set in stone and you're trying not to step on other people's toes. It almost is a gimme. You're going to step on someone's toes, whether you like it or not. Nobody wants to do it. We try to be respectful. And that just kind of is what it is. Like, nobody's trying to single anybody out or make it, where you can't make the race, right? We're just doing the best we can with the cars that we were dealt, right? We didn't know Mother Nature was going to rain on our parade, and we're just playing the best hand that we were dealt. And that's just about all I got about that. Yeah, so that's a wrap on Lucas Oil, man. So proud of a lot of our local drivers who went up there and showed some strength and speed this weekend. Again, congrats to Tanner Mullins on being the King of America 15th winner, and along with Cody King for doubling up, along with Jeffrey Abbey for doubling up this week, and they represented us pretty well up there. I don't know if we can really adopt Cody King, but we're just gonna say he's one of ours anyway, just because it sounds.
He's a homie. I'll adopt him.
He's a homie. He is.
He's a homie.
Hey, all right. So kind of last week, I went through our factory stock winners, and I went through and I compiled them, and I kind of wanted to ask. This is a pretty eclectic mix of factory stock winners. Our only repeat between B mods and factory stocks are just B mods / limiteds throughout the weekend at all the tracks in Texas and Louisiana and beyond. And for as seen on RaceON, these are the drivers that swept. Only Cody Tupper at Texarkana and Arklatex. Same for Justin Whitehead in the factory stock. So Cody Tupper swept the B mods at Arklatex and Texarkana. Whitehead did the same. Listen to your list of winners in factory stocks not named Justin Whitehead this weekend. Boone Evans, like, where the hell is Boone Evans going to show up and race? Oh, Friday night this week, he's going to show up the Heart of Texas down in Waco driving the Jason Hood 429 car. He goes to Victor Lane in Waco on Friday night. Dylan Gaither wins at I-37 on Saturday night. By the way, they had a much better car count. I think they had over 70 cars, so it was good to see. Remember, a few weeks ago, we were a little worried. I-37 only had like 20 or 30 cars in their pits, and I was heartbroken for them more than like concerned. I was heartbroken, but they had a pretty solid car count this weekend. 105 Speedway, Zane Goff, right? We talked about the old Onalaska, Texas driver on this podcast last year, kind of sneaking into Victor Lane up there. I bet he'll be back at Boot Hill Speedway racing for $30,000 in a few weeks, May 7th through the 9th. And how about Michael Bowles winning at Kennedale Speedway Park, the Italy, Texas driver driving car number 40? He's always fast. Michael Bowles is a quick one, but he beat Tommy Williams Jr. to the checker flag, the 151. If you beat Tommy Williams Jr. at KSP, you're doing something right. And Michael Bowles, listen, you don't even have to watch the race back. I looked at the results and said, yep, Michael Bowles won. He beat the 151. He's got to feel pretty damn good about it. So those are the factory stock guys. Do you have kind of any? Well, I'm going to give you all of them. You can write these down. So the B mods again, Tupper's the only one that's swept. Derek Grigsby goes 4 for 4 in the limited modifieds. He's undefeated to start off 2026 between Vivian and Boot Hill. Like, listen, limited modified drivers. Is it going to be Connor Mewborn? Is it going to be Mark Underwood Jr.? Who's it going to be that gets in there and beats the 69? Are we about to have to put a bounty on him? It's about that time for the conversation. 4 for 4. We'll maybe wait till he goes 5 for 5 or 6 for 6, but I think somebody might make him go 4 out of 5 next week. Come on, guys. We got to step up and give 69 a run. Khalif Saylor, who is really like at 105 Speedway, he got by Jacob Martin Lake. Khalif, I hope I'm pronouncing his last name right. I say it's Khalif Saylor. I hope that's his last name and how it's pronounced, but he's a realtor. So he might sell me a home quick, but I don't know how to pronounce his last name. But Trevor Cogburn won at Heart of Texas. We talked about him last week. He's another guy I would love. Like I said, Trevor, you show up to Boot Hill Speedway, I'm buying your pit pass anytime, any day. He won at Heart of Texas on Friday. And here's a new name for you. Your Sport Mod winner at KSP on Saturday night. Who? Nathan Northcott. Come on back. Tell me a little bit about Nathan Northcott. I don't think you could.
Well, I can't either. Well, I mean,
Come
I've
on.
watched enough to know that I've seen him. Like, I
Okay.
mean, he races like it ain't like he ain't been
Yeah,
there, and
no,
his
yeah.
name's been
I
called out a
love
couple times. So, but I mean, it is
I love
really
seeing
cool to
new
see.
drivers in Victor Lane. But go ahead. I'm
Yeah,
sorry. I just love
exactly. I
seeing
mean,
new
no,
names.
yeah, and that's why, I mean, I'm glad you compiled that list. You know, it's Nathan Northcott, and when you put his name up there with Cody Tupper, Derek Grigsby, Khalif Sellier, however you want to pronounce it, and Trevor Cogburn, like, shout out Nathan. Like, go ahead, big dog, go get you some. But when you really look at those lists, it just, again, kind of like last week, I kind of like you doing this, Zach. Like, it's a collective mix, and I'll start keeping up with it a little bit more, so I'll be a little bit more prepared with it. But like, what a group of just different guys, right? And all these guys just, and each one has a different story and how they got into racing, and how they do it, and where they race at, why they do this, right? And it's just really, really cool to see a mixed bag, right? Of course, the 69's going 4 for 4. Is he gonna go 5 for 5? Probably. Who knows? Cody Tupper's still doing Tupper things, but when you throw in some names like Trevor Cogburn, I'm just gonna call him Seller if he's a realtor. My boy's a seller. That's all I need to know. He's a seller. I mean, he might be mad at me for saying it like that, but he's a seller. All right. And then Nathan Northcott, like, it's really, really cool to see those guys come out there and win, right? Like you said, maybe not necessarily a surprising winners, but really, really cool to see. And then, like you mentioned with Boone Evans, that dude will show up anytime, anywhere. If they're racing some type of automobile in a circle on dirt, Boone Evans will show up, and I think in that hood ride, you'll expect to see him in a lot of the big shows this year. And you talk about Zane Golf down there at 105, had a really good showing at the 30,000. Kind of one of those sneaky guys that nobody really knows a whole lot about down there at 105, and where he races at weekly. Like, people know him, but he's one of those dudes that don't be surprised if he shows up and throws his hat in the mix. Michael Bowles, you mentioned it. There for a while, Bowles had a really cool purple chrome number. Me and him kind of shared the same style there, and I always remember Michael Bowles because of that, is because he had a purple chrome number. But like you said, if you outrun Tommy Williams Jr. at KSP, and let's just be honest, if you win almost any race at KSP, like, you earned it. Like we've mentioned it on here before, KSP is kind of like the Boot Hill of Dallas Fort Worth, right? And I'm not saying it's better than everybody else, just week in and week out. They have a ton of cars, the quality of drivers, and the whole entire program is really, really good, right? So when you go out there and you win at KSP, dude, go ahead and give yourself a pat on the back, because you earned it.
Absolutely, dude. There's some interesting last names I got to call this weekend. As we were kind of going over, I just looked up the phonetic, how you pronounce. So this sounds kind of French, right? Like, he might as well be from Louisiana. It says it's pronounced Cellier or Cellier.
That's probably right.
I'm gonna call him. Yeah, that sounds more right. So Cellier. But dude, how about this last name at Lucas Oil this week? I know you heard us talking about it, but Let Yahan. That was a pretty interesting last name too. I love that one. Yeah, that was a ton of fun. I love a new challenge. Hey, I got to ask you a question, bud. Are Sportsters back on your naughty list?
Sportsters are back. They have never left the naughty list. We might have erased the SPO, but the Ortster was still on there. You know what I mean? Like, it's golly, man. Sportsters.
Well, this is why. Adam Roy would have swept the weekend, but he got the old dilly bar for whatever the hell a windage tray is, or whatever. I think that's what I read at Arclatech on Saturday night. So Aaron Jordan won his first race in Vivian. I think it was his 7th career win at Arclatech's. Cool seeing Aaron Jordan back in Victor Lane, right? Those are some sweet looking Sportsters. We were up in the booth at Boot Hill a few weeks ago talking about how badass them things look, right? His son Case and the other man, I can't remember his other name off the top of my head right now. It'll come to me. Hayes Jordan and Case.
Yeah, Hayes Jordan.
Man, it's been cool watching them young kids learn and push the progression of their young careers. I think they only have like 3 career starts between them, but old dad got behind the wheel this weekend and put it to Victor Lane, and he made it through the tech shed. And my boy Adam Roy did not. Now I know Steve was giving all kind of hell to Adam about the body. Well, he fixed the body, right? It was an old Tesla Cybertruck. Well, now he kind of shaved the back down a little bit. It looks more like a stock car now. Well, he gets DQ'd for a windage tray, and then apparently second place Devin Krudoff also got disqualified for his what was that Steve was torque converter. I don't know all the details, and honestly, I don't care. I just know that Sportsters keep getting disqualified, whether guys meant to, intentionally or unintentionally. I just know that guys are still on the naughty list, and they're continuing to get DQ'd, and Steve Bogus doesn't like it too much. Or maybe he does, because it gives him job security, and he loves catching these guys red-handed.
All I know is that somehow or another, I found my way to the Sportster Facebook page. And if, ladies and gentlemen, if you're not on there, go ahead and join on, because if you need something good to read while you're sitting there on the toilet and now we're at your lunch break, I promise you about once a week, you're going to have something on the Sportster page that keeps you entertained. And you're the one sitting there clicking view 3 replies, and you're going to read them all, because like these guys, and like you said, whether they meant to or not, I mean, only they know. Like, I'm not going to speculate. Like, only they know. Whatever they tell themselves to sleep better at night, that's what they're going to do, right? But Sportsters, I really don't know what else to say. A windage tray, as far a windage tray as I can think of, is the tray at the cafeteria that you put back through the window and hand your food back on, for all I care. But who knows, man? Sportsters, like I said, if you meant to do it, then shame on you. If you didn't know no better and you just got caught red-handed, then take your DQ. You're not going to sneak by Steve Bogus. No matter what you think, the man is pretty sharp. He's going to figure out something at some point. Don't, like you said, it's job security. Steve probably likes it. He don't mind making a Facebook post once or twice, but don't go after the man Bogus, because he will prove you wrong time and time again. He's done it. And I'm telling you right now, it's nice to have, and I know we talked about this before, it's nice to have a guy like Steve Bogus that does our racetracks. It really is, because he is cut and dry, and whether you disagree or agree, he draws the line in the sand, and it is what it is, at least in all the instances that I had with him, right? And not that I went and visited the tech shed a whole lot, but anytime I ran through or been in tech shed when they were DQing people, it's always been cut and dry, and you're not going to sneak one by old Steve. So just quit trying it, Sportster. Just go out there and have fun and race for your $200 and have fun, and just go and enjoy it. Whatever happens. But at the end of the day, like you said, Aaron Jordan picks up the win. Great looking race car, looks just as good in victory lane, my friend.
Absolutely. The other winners, of course, Brentley Smith. How about that? Won his first career rookie Sportster race.
Sir.
Doing big, sexy 7S proud, huh? I'm sure you got an opinion on that.
How about, I really was. I had it starred on my paper.
Hell yeah, man. That's awesome to see, man. That's awesome. We love seeing the young drivers, especially sporting the 7S. He's got big sexy up there on the brow for everybody to see. Keeping the tradition on for the old Alexandria, Louisiana native Cortland Smith's living vicariously through Brentley Smith. It's cool to see. Y'all got the same last name, everything. Like, there's no way this kid couldn't be a fan of yours behind closed doors. You know what I mean?
Well, he probably wasn't, because I wasn't that great. But man, is it deja vu whenever I'm looking at lineups and I see a 7S and a Smith? Like, I was like, where am I supposed to be? Like, I'm supposed to be in a car. You know what I mean? Like, it's made my racing itch a lot worse than it's been in the last couple months. I can tell you that much.
Man, the last thing I want to kind of talk about here, and I mean, I'd love to get into sprint cars. Of course, they were I'll just hit the results real quick. Carson Macedo won at US 36 World of Outlaws this weekend. Buddy Kofoid made a final lap pass of Ryan Timms at 81 Speedway in Wichita, Kansas. He won with the World of Outlaws on Saturday. If you haven't watched that one back, that's a badass finish. It was really badass. And Tanner Thorson won at Route 66 down in Amarillo this weekend with the high limit sprint cars. They got rained out or winded out on Saturday night. So quite a few of those drivers went up and attempted the race with the Outlaws. A few of them qualified and then didn't run the race because it was still very windy as well at 81. So
yeah.
Also, big storylines and late models this weekend. Cade Dillard dominates Arrowhead. 40-plus cars in the pits both nights with the Comp Cam / Revival Super Dirt Series. Cade Dillard dominated both of them. I think Timothy Culp was on the podium one of those nights as well. But Cade Dillard's really good at Arrowhead. That's his third win there this season for the 97 car. Devin Moran won at Brownstown with the Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series. He has a 15-point lead over Hudson O'Neill, leaving the points there. RTJ snapped his Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series winless streak for his 57th career win at Atomic. Brandon Shepard got beat in lap traffic after leading the majority of the race. And how about Josh Rice? Josh Rice having a pair of fourth-place finishes. Next up for the Lucas Oil Late Models is at Georgetown, Baps, and Hagerstown, April 24th through the 26th. And, of course, the World of Outlaws, Nick Hoffman and Bobby Pierce. I think it's going to be 32-9 show all year long. Hoffman wins at East Alabama on Friday night, and at Sonoya Raceway on Saturday night. Bobby Pierce gets it done. Bobby Pierce has a 3-point lead over the 9-car Nick Hoffman. Next up for them is the Illini 100 at Farmer City in 2 weeks in Farmer City, Illinois. I do have some more. I want to go deeper on some local stuff here because I got some stuff. But do you have any thoughts or anything about the sprint or late model results from this weekend?
Sprint cars, like you said, go back and watch it just real quick to get through that. Go back and watch them. Really good races, really good finishes there. The late model deal, the most interesting thing of the weekend, I think, is Winger and the 49 car making contact on a restart. Ashton goes out wide, and JD starting on the inside of row 2, and they go down the front straightaway. And again, I'm not in the cars. From my camera angles, it looks like Winger's trying to go down there and kind of cram the door on the 49, and they make contact, and JD gets spin around again. Like, I know JD, well, I don't know what necessarily his opinion on it. I'm sure they got an interview out there somewhere trying to get a sound bite out of him. But like, again, Winger, like, I don't know. I'm not behind the wheel of the cars, but like, dude, you went out wide and left the door wide open, and the 49 just drove right up alongside of you, and we make contact. Like, that was kind of the deal. However you saw it is how you see it, and I'm not going to change your mind, but that's kind of the storyline. Is like the 49 gets tied up in some drama again. He's doing a kind of a pick and choose season so far, and not that he hasn't been fast or shown speed. It's just like there's been these couple scenarios where he has run-ins with different people, and it's just not necessarily paying as much dividends as I'm sure he would like, right? Of course, when he went to Golden Isles, I mean, he went out there and was lights out fast all weekend at Golden Isles, but that was kind of the storyline to me, and you hit it. It's a 32-9 show, right? Dalton Wilson almost picked up his first World of Outlaws win. Obviously, he's been on the Lucas Oil Tour. Now he's with the World of Outlaws, and at East Alabama, really good race between him and Nick Hoffman. And I don't know if Dalton would have kept the 9 behind him, but he made one little mistake, and you can't make a mistake when that NOS car is behind you. Like, you just can't. Like, if you got Hoffman, Pierce, any of those guys of that caliber, like, not that Dalton Wilson ain't an elite late model driver, but you can't right now, if you're on the World of Outlaws and you're leading a race, you can't make a mistake if the 9 and the 32 are behind you, because they're going to make you pay, right? And Hoffman really almost could have swept the weekend at Sonoya, because they're there. It's kind of locked down around the bottom, and he goes into turn 3 and I guess missed the rubber or missed the cleaned up spot and slid right out the way and opened the door for Pierce, and Pierce snuck on right around to pick up the win at Sonoya. So, it was not that the Lucas Oil wasn't exciting by no means, but if you show up to Brownstown Speedway, Devin Moran's going to win. I think it's like 4 in a row at Brownstown. Like, it's just the dude's good at B-Town. Moran is really, really good there. And then that race at Atomic, for some reason, like, Atomic is that place that every time I turn it on, I'm like, dude, this thing's going to race terrible. Like, we're going to be rubbing up. And then all of a sudden, somehow or another, it always delivers a good race. And RTJ picks up the win through. Yeah, like, it surprises me every time, because I'm looking at the shape and I'm looking at the dirt and then how it progresses, and I'm like, man, this thing ain't gonna race no good. And then you get like a jam up feature like you got. And shout out to Josh Rice for having a good bounce back week here. 2 4th place finishes. Max Blair also had 2 top 5 runs, 3rd Friday, 5th on Saturday, and third on Saturday, and 4th on or 5th on Sunday. They've moved Atomic from Friday to Sunday. They had a little rain deal, made it happen on Sunday there. But anyway, for RTJ to pick up the win was good, but he kind of, not that he got gifted one, but Rocket one was leading, got hung up in lap traffic, and that's part of racing, right? Like, you got to be able to get through the lap cars, and RTJ snuck right around Sheppy when he was hung up there, and then they almost had a photo finish. Shepard was all over RTJ there coming to the finish. So that's kind of my recap on that stuff from the late model world. Of the big storylines, not the 9 and 32 are going to be the 2 dogs to beat, and this Lucas Oil deal, Moran is ahead by 15 points over Hudson O'Neal. And I talked about it last year when he won the championship. Devin Moran doesn't get enough credit, man, and he's already got the points lead, and he could, not saying he's going to run away with it, but RTJ's 100 points back. And I know you can make up a lot of points quick, but that 99 has turned into that national tour driver.
Yeah, and that was Devin Moran's first career win as a father, too. Just his wife, Lakia, had the birth of their baby just 2 weeks ago, I believe. So a newborn baby, and goes to Victory Lane. That's got to be pretty cool for him, being a father standing on there in Victory Lane. So congratulations to all those guys. And it was great. It was a great weekend of racing. All right, I want to circle this back to talk about our local racing here in the Arklatex right now. And listen, man, I know I wasn't in attendance this weekend, but I've been in attendance for plenty of them, right, over the last 20 years. Let's be honest. I am bringing this up right now, and I don't want anybody to take this out of context. I don't want anybody to think I'm lashing out at anyone. And I certainly, because I think most people know my heart and know where I come from on a lot of this stuff. But my question to you right now, and I don't think you have the answer either, but I've asked a lot of people this here lately. This is me only speaking about the races that I have seen. I've went back and seen a little bit on RaceON today, and by the comments and things that I've seen on social media throughout the weekend, and what I've experienced the first night at Texarkana. Of course, I wasn't there this past week. Josh Bell was, though. He was messaging me throughout the program, telling me it was very frustrating. I'm not trying to speak on behalf of Josh. I'm sure he'd be happy to come here and express his thoughts on this if I were to give him the floor, but I don't think it's necessary. But if he wanted to, he could. He was very thankful for the opportunity. I want to make that very clear, right? He loves 67, but he just said it was an extremely frustrating night of racing. Well, I told him that it was very frustrating for me as well on opening night, but it was also extremely frustrating at Boot Hill. Now, you could say, oh, Zach Clark, then maybe you should find a different hobby, or maybe you should find something else you're passionate about if you're just going to bitch. And it's like, well, no, I'm not bitching. It just comes from a place of care and love for our sport and for our fans who come to the racetrack and spend their hard-earned money. And my point of all this is, Cortland, is what is going on with our current state of racing right now in the Arklatex. The quality that, listen, I'm going to circle this up and I'm going to make a point here, but the quality has to come up. Caution after caution after caution after caution after caution and carnage. It just and the whole point of this. Now, listen, I know cautions are a part of dirt track racing. I get it. That's fine. That's not what I'm seeing is a lot of unnecessary carnage, right? I understand that we have some new racers, right? We have new classes. We have the rookie sportsters. We have the sportsters that we've started recently. But the drivers need to be cognizant of this, Cortland, that we are in the entertainment industry. And people don't want to see you spinning out and dragging the show out all night. Now, I know it just sounds like Zach's bitching. Okay, let me finish, okay? I know it's early in the year. And I know it just, okay, well, it's early in the year. Well, that just kind of sounds like an excuse. I've been around for many of season openers, folks, and I can't remember the racing ever being as bad as it is right now. Is it fair that I'm saying that all of y'all look terrible right now? Maybe it's not, but I'm sure y'all would rather me come here and tell you exactly what I think and how I feel. And the whole reason why I'm telling you this is because I know what we can do, and I know that we can do better. Our expectations should always be to the sky. Our quality of racing down here, anywhere I go in the country, Cortland, I have always told anybody when I'm out of town, I say, I'll take my best five and put them against your best five anytime, any place, any day, because that's how confident I am in our local racing program here in the Arklatex. But what I've seen to start off this season has not been that. And I don't know what it is. And maybe I'm speaking from a place of frustration because I know that we can do better because I've seen it. I have always taken pride in the quality of our shows and the talent of the drivers that we have around here behind the wheel. But my question is, how many new fans would truly be interested in coming back just to watch you guys crash, spin out, jump restarts by 2 rows, fortunate 3 wide, causing pileups before you even get to the flag stand? Again, a lot of this stuff that I'm sitting here talking about can be avoided. The bottom line is we've got to do better because we are better than this and we should expect better. And to be clear, this is all classes. You've got 7 to 13 good cars racing up front every single week and cars that are trying to race for a win. And these guys can't get more than 3 laps of green flag racing to settle it up there amongst themselves. Or we have to cut a race short because it's went 25 or 30 minutes and nobody wants to see that. We're milking these races down for all they're worth in a survival of the fittest. This is factory stocks. Well, we had 9 cautions in the factory stock race at Boot Hill on opening night. That's unacceptable. Are we going to do that? Are we going to do that racing for $30,000? Folks, we're only racing for $500 to win on opening night. Like, I know, listen, I know I don't drive these race cars and I know I don't work on them, but anybody that knows me knows this comes from a place of good in my heart. This is not coming from a place of, we got to get it together because no, I'm saying it because I know how good y'all are, and I've seen it. I take so much pride in the racing program, but I don't see the point in any of you people making all these extra trips to Day Motorsports throughout the week for extra parts and to get new sheet metal. Racing is already expensive enough, Cortland Smith. I don't have the answer. And here's the deal. I love Arklatex. I love Boot Hill. I love Texarkana. I love every single racetrack that is willing to open their doors to host you racers. You guys are better than this. We got to do better. So think about it next time you're on the racetrack. If you get caught up down there in turns 1 and 2, just think about it, Cortland. If we just had 4 cautions come out on the racetrack and you go down on turn 1 by yourself and you spin your car out, don't sit there and bring a caution out because you want to get back to the back of the field. Take responsibility and be cognizant that we just had 4 other cautions for you to get your shit together, but we just barreled down there in turn 1 and you spun out all by yourself, but you want to bring a caution out so you can get right back to the back of the field. Well, guess what? That's not, yeah, that's how this works because they'll throw the caution for you. I mean, if you get another one, guess what? You got to go to the pits. Sorry, that's two and done rule. But we've got to do better, man, because I know we can do better. And that's my whole point. I wish maybe I would have articulated this a little bit better because I'm not on anybody's case. I've said we can do better 1,000 different times in 50 different ways, but I just know it, man. I know it in my heart that we are better than this. And whenever I invite new friends and family and people to the racetrack, I want to have pride. And whenever they're coming to the racetrack of what they're going to see. And no, they're not coming to watch Jonathan Davenport. They're not coming to watch Bobby Pierce. I'm talking about coming and watching Cody Tupper, Derek Grigsby. I'll just name some names. Luke Daniel. I'm just naming randoms off the top of my head here. I don't care who you are. Case Jordan, Hayes Jordan, Aaron Jordan. I'm talking about you guys. I'm not talking about the 32 and the 9 on the Lucas Oil Tour. I'm talking about what we do week in and week out here in the Arklatex. We have to provide a way better and a more quality show, not only for the people in the stands, but for the people that are watching live on RaceON as well. Like, how many times, Cortland, throughout the races, I'm getting messages, goodness gracious, this is a lot of caution, and it's like, well, it is what it is. That's just a part of racing. Like, what am I going to do? Sure, it's frustrating, but I don't know any other way to do it than come on here in my podcast and complain about it. But again, I'm complaining, but it all comes from a good place, right? I don't think anybody will take this the wrong way. I certainly hope not. But we've just got to step our game up, man. We have got to step our game up and do better, or we're going to lose fans by the whole.
It's not complaining, it's constructive criticism, right?
Yeah.
Not that you're criticizing nobody, but to kind of take the no, and like you said, it comes from a good place of heart because you know the potential that everybody has, and you know what the product could be, right? And I will take the side to some of the guys. Like, I promise you, there's half the guys out there. Or I say half of them. I would think more than half, and I've been one of them. Like, you go down there and you spin out, and you really don't want that caution to come out, and the announcers to go, "Oh my." Cortland Smith spun out again. And you're just sit over there and your stuff stalled out and it won't crank up, or you done flooded it out, or something done happen, right? So like I get that. Like, I see the other side of it. I've been the guy I told you, heck, I've been the guy spun out. I've made the limited modified feature at a USMTS race at Arklatex my first year. And lap 2, I got on there and I spin out and I try to get this thing fired back up and I can't get her back going. And I got the whole field barreling down. And I know that I look like the biggest idiot in the world because 23 other guys just made a lap and I couldn't, right? So, when you look at it like that, then it's like, who else do you point the blame on? That night, I pointed 100% on me and I felt absolutely terrible. But it's one of them deals, like I talked about Lucas Oil Speedway, like you got this mixture and you got this cake batter that you're trying to make and you got all these different ingredients. And right now we're just not baking a good cake right now. And I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's like you said, new drivers getting in, new classes, and people jumping cars, and this, that, and the other. Have the racetracks been the greatest? No, I think every single promoter will tell you that they could do better. And in a good racetrack tends to better racing. And if stuff's not as great, then you end up with more issues, right? If we're all trying to either get to the bottom or we're throwing dust across the whole place, like it all there's so many different factors that go into it. But I understand where you're coming from, and it's just the point of the product that we put out there as we want it to be better. That's all we want. Because if you invite somebody to the racetrack and they show up and they watch whatever race they showed up to, is that really going to earn them to come back if they're a first time race fan? Well, I tell you what, one guy that don't mind the demo derby or everybody wrecking each other is my boy Shane Sprinkle over at Day Motorsports. He's fired up about it. There was at one point we were about to have 10% off sheet metal if they'd had one more caution in the features at some point or another in the night, right? Like, it was going to be. So it's one of them deals. I know the drivers don't like it because, like, nobody likes working on their stuff. Like, you like working on it, but nobody wants to spend the 2 or 3 afternoons that you're going to spend trying to make your car better, trying to repair everything, right? Like, nobody wants to do that. So I don't really know. I don't have the answer. Like, it's one of those deals that, and I know I'm sounding like I'm trying to just avoid the question, but I agree with you. Our product's got to be better, but it's one of those deals of like, you don't know how until we find some solution. And I really don't know. I'll tell you right now, like, I'm sitting there watching Friday and Saturday night, and this isn't a shot at nobody, but like, I didn't watch RaceON no more. I was watching other races because, let's just be honest, like 67 and Arklatex didn't have their best nights ever. And that's no shot at them. It just read the time of year and the way everything played out, the wind and whatnot, like the way it happened, it wasn't a great weekend, right? And again, the cautions that's part of racing, and and we got to figure out a system to get through that, right? I'm not saying I didn't watch 67 Arklatex at all. I would check back in, but at some point or another, when you're on your 8th caution of the night, you do go ahead and flip over to a different television number, right? So yes, it's just one of them deals, man. We know we can do better, or I say we know that these racers and these teams and everybody that puts their hard-earned money in everything they do in the racing, we know it can be better. And I think that's where you're coming from. And that's the bottom line to it. Now, whatever reasons, whether the moon or what time of year it is, or whatever your zodiac sign, I don't know what even they call it. Like, whatever is the reason that we're doing all this, hopefully we get out of it pretty soon and we get back to our regularly scheduled programming, because like you said, hands down, night in and night out, we really can put our best 5 against any best 5 in the country, and I'll die on that hill as well. And also, when our racetracks are right, they're just as good as anywhere else in the country as well. So
100%.
the potential is there, and that's why it kind of aggravates. That's the aggravating part of it, is that the potential is there to be lights out, jam up every single weekend. And but guess what? You can't have that every single weekend. So it just kind of is what it is. We hope we can get through this.
And also that this is definitely not me talking about any of these new drivers. I before anybody listens, I'm not talking about you rookie Sportster drivers. I'm not talking about any of you people that are learning. I'm talking about the experienced ones that are driving like bozos right now. The ones that have been in the sport for 10 years that are driving in there and jumping restarts by 2 rows and forcing it 3 wide, and we're wrecking before the flag stand. I saw that happen a few weeks ago. Like, we're doing silly stuff right now that just makes no sense because we're trying to get a little leg up on the competition. You know what I mean? I'm going to tell you, they say patience is a virtue, but I'm telling you, having patience in racing really pays dividends in the long run. Does it not? Like, having patience. We saw Tanner Mullins had some patience behind the wheel winning the King of America the other night. He was just kind of patient, rolling right to the middle and waited for the 2-car steam to kind of burn his tires up and knock the J-bar off, and he rolled himself to the lead, and he wasn't pressured from that point on. And that applies right here locally as well. Just a little bit more patience and a little. Listen, I love an aggressive driver. I love to have an aggressive driver where you can go to him and you have to dial him back a little bit, right? Like that used to be the issue with Tyler Erb back in the day. They said, well, if we could just dial Tyler back just a little bit, he'd be prime time, Well, I mean, look where he's at now. He dialed him back a little bit, and look at him.
It's easier. It's easier to dial him.
Yeah,
they say it's easier to dial him back than speed him up.
So before anybody thinks I'm coming here telling you how to drive your race car, I am not doing that. Okay. I would like to drive your race car, though. If I could fit in it, I'd like to make some laps so I can renew my perspective. So anybody hears this, I would like to drive your car. I'm just saying, and maybe we can compare lap times after that. Just kidding. But that's all I got, man. I just felt like it needed to be said because I know Josh was frustrated with the amount of cautions at Texarkana Friday night, and it's not just 67. Boot Hill had a ton, and like the racetrack was pretty damn good at Boot Hill. I know it's slick, and I know a lot of people are learning to race in the slick. But and maybe midpoint of the season, this should just be a long gone conversation. Like, dude, the racing has been phenomenal lately. And here's the deal, Cortland, is I'm fair. Just as soon as it is, I'll be the first person that comes on here and I'll lead this podcast off and tell you how phenomenal the racing was at Boot Hill on Saturday night, just like we do every single week that the racing is really good. Here's the thing. I'm not one that's going to come over here and bullshit you and sugarcoat and say, Saturday night was just so badass, man. We can't, and when it wasn't. Like, well, I'm not going to ever come here and lie to you. Sure, a night at the racetrack is awesome. It beats any night sitting at the couch. I'm not complaining that, like, okay, let's just find all the worst that we can find in the racing. I'm not doing that either. I just know that we can be better, and I'm going to put a bow on that and send you WRAP and wrap this baby up and throw you some sign language your way. Do you have anything else that you would like to add before we wrap this podcast up tonight?
I would like to add that the Darty Smith Memorial has now been moved to the Friday of the Triple Crown Throwdown at Sabine Speedway. And obviously, if you're a factory stock guy, yes, breaking news. That race right there, whether you can absolutely hate me, you can think I'm the biggest bozo in the world, and I don't care because I'm going to still Darty Smith line right here. You can talk bad about me. You can say whatever you want about me, but don't talk bad about my family. And that includes my parents, my old lady, and my kids, and my immediate family. So you can say whatever you want about me, but we are honoring an absolute legend. And if you don't think he was, Bubba Jones bought a factory stock last year just to race the Darty the week of. So that tells you right there. And there's a lot of guys that are really, really excited. The original schedule date was like the April 22nd weekend. And the ACLMS was going to be racing at 67 in Arklatex. And I know a lot of guys were in that mean 15, and they had already sent me messages like, dude, we absolutely hate, we're going to miss your dad's race, but that mean 15 deal. And I'm one, like, it's no, you're not going to offend me. I get it. Like, that mean 15 deal is really good at 67. And if Arklatex is 25 minutes from your house, I don't blame you. But now, no excuses. The Darty Smith Memorial is going to kick off the Triple Crown Showdown on Memorial Day weekend, and I'm super, super excited. My birthday weekend, leading up, my birthday is going to be the 26th, so it's going to be pretty close right there. It's going to be a jam-up time, man, and Shane and Todd and everybody, the whole crew down there, Sabine, Tiffany, everybody, the track has really been on point. We talked about it. Like I said, it's that hidden gem of Louisiana, right? And I'm super, super excited. I wanted to announce that to however many listeners we have, that the Darty Smith Memorial is going to be on May 22nd. I believe that's the date. Now I'm sitting here double guessing myself, but the night one of the Triple Crown Showdown, that Memorial Day weekend, it's going to be an absolute, the 22nd. Yeah. Okay. So I was right. And, and it's the deal. You start at Manny, you go to Boot Hill, then you go to Arklatex, right? And, man, I already got tons of people pouring in with support, and I promise you are not going to want to miss Friday night at Sabine, man. I have got a lot of great people that obviously love the big man, old boss man Darty there, and I am so excited. Not that I wasn't excited about the April 22nd date, but this Triple Crown Throwdown weekend, my birthday weekend, I know a lot of guys are going to be rolling in. Like it's gonna, I'm telling you, we're still gonna pay big for the limiteds and B mods, and obviously I know the factory stocks pay big that weekend as well, but I'm telling you, over the next couple of weeks, I'll get this stuff out, and it's going to be probably one of the greatest one-night Friday night shebangs that you'll see. And I'm just going to leave it at that, man. I am super pumped. I know a lot of different guys have already reached out to me saying that they were again, they were going to miss it, and now they're excited that it's on Friday and that they're going to be there and support the old boss man. So I'm super pumped up about it. Like I said, you can absolutely hate me and think I'm the biggest bozo in the world, but you ain't going to talk bad about the boss man, because if you ask 90. If you ask, well, I know, I'm just saying, I'm just joking around. I'm just joshing with you, but I'm saying 99% of the people in the pit area tell you that was one of the coolest dudes, and he was a certified bad ASS. I'll just go ahead and say it like 100%. That. He was that guy, and and the only other 1% that wouldn't say that just don't know him yet. So I'll be super excited that weekend. I'll start getting the information and stuff out. I got a lot of great people pouring in with support. But Darty Smith Memorial, May 22nd, Sabine Speedway. If you race a factory stock, limited mod, or B mod, I promise you are going to want to be there. That's all I'm going to say. I'm going to leave it at that, ladies and gentlemen.
That was the first thing we should have actually started the podcast off with tonight. I think you had planned on it, but things it went a little haywire, a little bit differently than how we usually do things tonight. But yeah, you were going to kick off with it, but I wish we would have actually started off with that, because when you text me yesterday, I was pretty thrilled, because I also realized that I'll be able to make the race that weekend. I mean, I usually do that Triple Crown Throwdown, but of course I have a scheduled conflict with the Arm Series and, Duval's Funkadelic Honky Tonk Dirt Track Extravaganza in Oklahoma that weekend. But I'm going to stay in town. I mean, these races all mean a lot to me too. And I mean, it's just one of the tough deals for me where I have to make a decision. And unfortunately, I just won't be able to go to Oklahoma this year for those. But I'll be happy to be here live and direct on RaceON for the Darty Smith Memorial and for the rest of the Triple Crown Throwdown. I am, dude. I'm extremely excited about that, man. And I think it'll be the only time I'll get to go to Manny this year too. So we'll make it a good one. I can't wait. That's all I've got tonight, man. Thank you so much for everything you do for this. We appreciate our producer, Cody Wooten, as well, for everything he does on the switches here for Clark After Dark. This has been episode 78, folks. Thank y'all for listening all the way here to the final whistle. If you've hung out with us, we'll see you at a racetrack this weekend, someplace, somewhere. Be blessed and be a blessing. We'll see you at the dirt track.
Later.